Well, your pal Sully is on the mend, but that doesn't mean we have to stop doing Locked On MLB, does it? No. I'm going to be speaking more with our good friend Millard Thomas, but why can't you see my face now? Well, you'll find out on this episode of Locked On MLB.
You are Locked On MLB, your daily MLB podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to Locked On MLB, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. This is the daily podcast. We talk about all of Major League Baseball. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. This episode is being dropped on the 21st day of July, 2022, and we're going to be talking a little bit about why you are not seeing me, but also Millard Thomas and I are going to be talking about landing places for Juan Soto and who is going to be a David to some of the October Goliaths. Thanks so much for making us your first listen, as we're available on all your free podcasts and catchers. You can follow us on Twitter at Locked On MLB Pod. Same handle for Instagram. I'm your pal Sully. I'm at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. Well, let me tell you something. Your pal Sully has the vid. I tested positive the other day, and I've been really a mess the last couple of days. I spent most of today in a hospital getting treatments and having tests done on me. And I'm really a little bit of a mess right now. And I don't want to have you see me when I'm not really just breathtakingly handsome. But also, I want to be able to just be audio only for this because I've been coughing a lot. In fact, I just edited out a cough right there, just on cue. So, I'm fortunately there was still more of my conversation with Millard Thomas, where we talked about the landing spots for Juan Soto and teams that could be surprised in the postseason, as we just assume the Mets or the Dodgers are going to play the Yankees or the Astros, and almost every year there's a team that beats one of the big contenders. So we go through that. So follow me at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram. I'm sorry, I'm on every medication right now. The All-Star game, which I listened to in a COVID hacking haze. I hate the uniforms. Wear their team uniforms. That's part of the appeal of the All-Star team, is seeing your player wearing their right uniforms. And also, you got to have the starting pitcher face the first 9 batters. Otherwise, there's absolutely no character to the game when you have everyone just pitching one inning. And what are they going to do if it goes extra innings and everybody's gone an inning? You know, some people only threw like 4 pitches. Like, let's see if they can throw a 5th. But, Giancarlo Stanton got the big hit, and Class A looked really great. It was a fun all-star game, and there you have it. And now we're heading on to the second half of the season, which is going to start this afternoon with the Yankees and the Astros playing a doubleheader, which would be a potential ALCS matchup, unless, of course, there's a big upset. The Rangers and the Marlins are going to be facing off also in a series of 2 teams that have images of getting to 500, and both of them are kind of teetering around there. We'll see what happens. The Tigers and A's are playing a doubleheader, which would have been huge if this was 2012 through 2014. And the Giants and the Dodgers resume. The Dodgers really look terrific. I really think the Giants have a lot of potential pitching, and they could be pretty tough. I mean, they were a 107-win team last year, and they played just barely above 500 the first half, but I would not be surprised if they have a better second half. They certainly have the talent. Oh dear. This is all I have in me right now. I'm going to go to an ad. And then the rest of it is going to be the podcast that I recorded with Millard Fillmore the other day. And I hope you enjoy it. And this is all I got in me, but I am on the mend. And we're gonna have some pinch hitters in the podcast world for this podcast moving forward. So thanks a lot, and let's go hear what Millard Thomas and I had to talk about.
What?
If you're looking for a ring, and if you want to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as the one you love with a modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. Guess what? Blue Nile has simple online tools that let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. Hey, guess what your pal Sully is doing this upcoming weekend?
What are you doing?
I'm officiating a wedding.
Whoa.
And I hope that the bride and the groom took care of their rings at BlueNile.com. Then again, the wedding's a week away. So if they're just dealing with the rings now, then man, they are a little bit out of control. But you know what? They could be having trouble choosing. That's why you go to the jewelry experts who are on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at any budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile anniversary sale. Save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% off on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships for free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Hey, why don't you talk to us a little bit about the NFL?
Yeah. Which NFL stars move the betting line the most? Starting July 18th, Locked On gives you the 50 most valuable players in the NFL from the odds makers at BetOnline. Available July 18th on Locked On NFL, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube.
All right, so much for us doing a shorter show. Hey, let's quickly run through this for a second.
Oh, which one?
I want to talk a little bit about Juan Soto. Juan Soto turned down a $400 million contract. Now, I know a lot of money, but of course he knows he's a little elite player, and that's the type of money that could be going around. He also probably looks around, he sees the Nationals are on an absolute spiral. They traded everything that wasn't nailed down last trade season, and they're probably going to be bad for the next couple of years. And maybe, I'm a believer that if someone offers you a contract that huge, you take it because you don't know if you're going to break down. You don't know if you're going to rip a hamstring or something like that. If you have a chance to cash in like that, you do it. But then again, I'm not in his position. I also know that, the Nationals traded a lot of players, but they also got some talent back, and they may be good in 2 or 3 years, especially if you cross your fingers that the Mets are just going for it now, and you never know. But this is Juan Soto's prerogative. Now, you and I talked about this a few weeks ago. You almost never get trade value now that teams hoard their prospects, don't want to trade, don't want to give up young players who could be stars and give up years for them. So the Nationals are in a very, very bad place now. What do you think they should do?
I mean, if you're the Nationals, I think first and foremost, you try to meet the contract demands of Juan Soto, because I think if you're in the business of trading superstars, you're just going to lose those deals because, like you said, I think the prospects you get in return usually end up being busts or just not as good as we usually think they're going to be. So first step, I think, is trying to re-sign him and bring him back, because I think you need Juan Soto on that team. He's too good, he's too young, and he's a star. He's going to sell you tickets. Like, bring Juan Soto back. But if that does not happen, then you got to scour the trade market. You got to scour the canvases, and you got to start thinking about trading Juan Soto, because if Juan Soto is turning down that money, he's telling you, I don't want to be here in Washington, then you can't let that man walk for nothing in free agency. That will be, you can never lose the asset. There's no mechanism in baseball like football or basketball where you can match contracts or do like a little franchise tag. We can't go anywhere. They have the arbitration, but once that's up, Juan Soto's a free man. He can go anywhere. And you do not want that to happen if you're Washington. So I'm going out there. I'm scouring the trade market. I'm asking for the best haul. I'm going to the Yankees. Give me your Volpes and all your best prospects. I'm going to every other team. Give me 4 of your top 5 prospects. Give me every blue chipper you have. And if I'm another team, if I'm a team that's maybe a superstar away or a couple players away from winning, I'm doing it. I'm giving up all my blue chip prospects because I do not care. I'd rather have the bird in the hand instead of the 2 in the bush, Sully. You know the old proverb, because I'm all about the tangible assets. And Juan Soto is a superstar, and prospects and blue chip guys, I just don't know. So give me what the certainty is.
Yeah, I mean, look at he could be a free agent at the end of the 2024 season, of which he'll still be in his mid-20s.
Yeah.
I mean, we forget how young he is. He is a very young dude. He is, 23 now. How old is he? I'm going to baseballreference.com, single greatest website.
I think, yeah, like
Yeah, he's
23.
20. He's going to turn 24 in October when he won't be playing in the playoffs. This is a guy, he's being walked more than anyone in baseball because why would you pitch to him? And he still has 19 home runs, despite being walked 79 times this year.
Yeah, he's the OBP king, and I thank him for actually turning down the contract because who wants to see Juan Soto locked up for 14 years? It's like it's what we talked about in a previous podcast. Like there's a lot less discussion around baseball in terms of the offseason rumors and the drama that just not there in the sport that we could have. Once Juan Soto's locked up for 14 years, there's not going to be many Juan Soto's conversations. Where can he get traded to? Because stars don't really ask for trades in baseball. Once he's locked into that 14-year deal, then it's like, all right, let's just talk about his stats and what he means to Washington and stuff like that. But I want a little bit of drama. I want to be like, all right, he's 2 years away from free agency. What should the Nationals do? Should we start talking about trade ideas and potential destinations? Should they bring it back? Should we start talking about fake figures? Like, there's just so many more angles you can talk about a player when their contract is about due up. But when it's like a 14-year deal, it's like, what conversations can we now have about the guy? So I'm glad they turned down the deal, and I'm hoping he does one of those short-term mega contracts that we've seen in recent history from the Trevor Bauers and the Max Scherzers of the world.
Well, I'll tell you something that's interesting from his perspective is that unlike Trout or Votto or some of the other superstars who have signed long-term deals, he's delivered a World Series title to Washington.
Yeah.
The city of Washington has not had a World Series title since 1924. Okay? Now they do. And he had to do, when we were talking about Jeremy Pena, he had to fill in for Bryce Harper. And he did so with a World Series where he had 3 home runs, had an OPS of 1.178. He drove in 7 runs in the 7 games, had 2 huge home runs in that shocking, and I mean shocking, upset of Los Angeles in the division series that year. Washington fans are off the schneid. And a big reason is that he filled in Harper's shoes and came up with big hit after big hit. Remember, the Astros were supposed to clobber them, and they wound up winning the World Series. So in the one sense, Soto might think, hey, I don't have to win a world. If I stay here, I'm just going to be this beloved player in Washington for the rest of my life. Or he could say, I'm young enough that I can have another mountain to climb and, and of course, cash in somewhere. He'll have played, let's say he plays the next 2 years. Let's say the Nats don't trade him away. And then he winds up leaving via free agency after 2 years. He'll still have played 7 seasons in Washington. Nats fans would have had a substantial amount of time. If they trade him tomorrow, this is his 5th year. So it's not like he's someone who hasn't given time to Washington. He's delivered a title and everything you could ever want. You know what? If I were a team that has a small window of opportunity, like you were saying, and some decent prospects, of course, a team that has one of the richest farm systems and one of the lowest payrolls and is a contender right now and needs a bat.
Who?
Is Cleveland.
We're sending Soto to Cleveland?
Cleveland's not doing it. He's not doing it. Another team that's loaded with prospects can win right now and could use a huge bat like this in the lineup is Tampa. They're not doing it.
No money.
There's not exactly. Well, yeah, everyone has money. I don't like
everyone has money.
Everyone has money.
But they cry poor.
Baltimore has a rich farm system, or on the verge. And they play in a rich area. And they could fill Camden Yards again. And you put Soto up there, you trade away some, you don't trade away Rutschman, you trade away some of those other players. I don't see it happening. The Yankees.
Oh, no.
The Yankees could.
The Yankees could.
But they have a bigger fish to fry. Who am I to judge who they have to put priority to? But Judge is going to be a free agent. And Judge, Judge is much older than Soto.
Yeah.
And you could put your heart on the shelf and say, we would rather have Soto than Judge. Imagine if Soto comes to New York and doesn't produce as well as Judge. Judge is the homegrown boy, everyone wearing the all rise, wearing the robes and everything like that. And if Soto comes in as who's this guy, they'd say that it'll be a disaster for him.
What if he's
Just
better though with that short porch? That could be the scary thing.
Yeah, but then for every story like that, there's countless stories of Yankees bringing in a superstar that doesn't fit in. Okay, ask Joey Votto what it's like, Joey Gallo what it's like working in New York right now. I know Gallo's not the player well, hell, ask A-Rod who delivered. He delivered. He's the greatest third baseman in Yankee history. Won 2 MVPs. Led them to the 2009 World Series title. And people treat him like he's garbage.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. There is one team that has a top farm system, can win, and doesn't mind spending money. And they exist right down the 5 from where I'm sitting right now.
I don't know what the 5 is.
That's the highway that leads me right to Dodger Stadium.
Oh. So Dodgers.
I think the Dodgers are the most likely fit, unless the Angels just want to stockpile MVPs and see how many MVPs they can have and still lose 90 games.
No more going to the Angels wasteland. I do not want to see that. I got 3 teams written down for myself that I just thought were kind of fun. I didn't even look at the farm systems or anything like that. I just thought they would be fun. What if the Blue Jays were like, let's throw our hat in the mix? We got a ton of young talent. Imagine you put him with Vlad Guerrero and the Bo Bichette's and the Teoscar Hernandez with that rotation.
And they're flowing with money. They're flowing with money in Toronto. Yeah, that's a great choice.
And then you get that home field advantage with people who don't want the shot. Man, going crazy up there in Toronto with Juan Soto. And then after that, how about the Padres? Little Tatis, little Machado. They could use another guy. Maybe you trade like a Cronenworth or something in there with some prospects. Maybe you throw Mackenzie Gore. No. Yeah, but that would be fun. I just want to see that trio of Soto, Machado, and Tatis. I just think that would be so much fun, and I think that would be one of the nastiest trios in baseball. And the last team that I have written down is the team that we talked about earlier, the hottest team in baseball. What if the Mariners are talking about Ken Griffey Jr.? What if you just went out there and got the Juan Soto to pair with the Julio Rodriguez in the outfield? Imagine that dynamic duo with the power and the speed and the defense those two could play. Nasty 1-2 combo at the top of your lineup if you're Seattle.
I love it. And they could try to work out a deal. They could try to work and say, hey, well, we want this prospect. We want that prospect. Well, we need to throw in something else. Well, what are you going to throw in? Player to be named later, a draft pick, or a Built Bar? Whoa. Look at this. I got my new Built Puffs. From the people who invented healthy and tasty comes the latest gift to your taste buds. You've probably tried the amazing coconut brownie chunk Built Bar, but guess what? Your friends at Built have given you coconut brownie chunk the puff treatment. Say that 3 times fast. That's right. The coconut brownie chunk Built Bar flavor that you love is now a delicious, chewy marshmallow concoction covered in 100% real chocolate. It's like a fluffy cloud, I can't even say it, of coconut brownie goodness. But stop drooling and listen. They're good for you, low calorie, low sugar, high protein, and all delicious. Coconut brownie chunk puffs are here for a limited time, so go to Built.com. Make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. All Built bars are made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and provides tons of health benefits. Eat something that tastes good and is good for you. Best part about Built Puffs is, of course, they taste amazing, but you can enjoy them guilt-free because they're good for you. They're the perfect treat. Perfect when you've got a craving, you need to satisfy the sweet tooth, or if you need a quick, healthy snack. They're an excellent source of protein. Delicious coconut, rich sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing. Go to Built.com. Get your order of coconut brownie chunk Built Puffs right now. Go to Built.com. Use promo code LOCK15. Get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCK15. Okay, Millard Thomas, let's try to do this really quickly here.
Okay.
What do the following teams have in common? The 2011 Phillies, the 2012 Nationals, the 2014 Angels and Nationals, the 2015 Cardinals, the 2016 Rangers, the 2017 Indians, the 2019 Dodgers, the 2021 Giants and Rays. What do all those teams have in common?
They play in Major League Baseball.
That is true, but they have another specific thing in common, and that is they are all recent teams to finish the year with the best record in their league and be eliminated in the division series.
Ah, that's gross.
Those are all teams that started October saying, get ready, folks. Buckle in.
That's not a fun stat, Sully. That's not a fun stat.
All of them were done in a week. And what I'm saying is last week we were talking about how Los Angeles, the Mets, the Yankees, and Houston are the four teams. Notice when I say Los Angeles, you know I'm not talking about the Angels, are the four teams that are most likely to go to the World Series. But the Braves were on no one's short list last year, nor were the Nats in 2019. Think about the World Series in 2014, where both teams were wild card teams in the World Series. The Giants were the visiting team in the wild card game, and they wound up winning the World Series. Every year there seems to be a top-ranked team that gets taken down, a proverbial Goliath taken down by a David. All right? Who are our Davids?
Who are our Davids?
Who are our Davids? What team is most likely to be a David that is not a team that isn't the Dodgers, the Mets, the Yankees, or the Astros playing in the World Series this October? Which team is most likely to pull that off?
This is my preseason pick to make it to the World Series. And I think they kind of fit this description of a David. And that is the Boston Red Sox out the American League. Because once again, their offense is very good, but they got some injuries. You're like, whoa, what? The Boston Red Sox with the way they've been playing? But I look up and down their roster. I'm like, over the last 3 weeks, like they've been just picking up dudes from AA. Even their AAA guys are getting hurt. They got injuries up and down that rotation. Chris Sale just broke his finger again. That rotation has been down and battered, but they're still right there in the mix. I think once they get everyone healthy with the Waka's back, the Evaldi's back, Chris Sale, like they were still in the playoff mix with their top 4 or 5 guys in the rotation now pretty much the last month. So I think for the Red Sox, when I look at that offense, I just think when they get to the postseason as well, they got a team like the Yankees number. Like they just know mentally, psyche, they're in there. They're in the Yankees' heads. They're not worried. We saw it last year in the wild card with Garrett Cole on the mound. We saw this Red Sox team might have been worse last season, and they were 2 games away from the World Series. So why don't I think this year, or maybe a healthier rotation and some guys step up a little bit more? Probably got to add a bullpen guy or 2. But at the deadline, considering how they looked last year in the playoffs, I think this could be their year. If we're just talking, just throwing shots in the dark, just throwing darts at the board, I'm picking the Boston Red Sox.
Wow, I just completely lost my equilibrium there. I may have vertigo after watching the Red Sox just find new ways to lose over the last couple of weeks. To think of them as doing anything other than playing mini golf this October. Wow, okay.
We're gonna get hot.
Those were not the words I expected to come out of your mouth.
David.
There's
David.
a couple. I do think if Cleveland gets into the playoffs, they have enough pitch. No, just listen. They're not. I'm just throwing some teams out there. I look at teams that have enough pitching depth to catch you off guard. That's why I think Tampa is always going to be a threat. Why I think Cleveland could always be a threat. Why I think Atlanta will always be a threat. But I think the team that's just sort of laying out there in the weeds right now that could just get in as either a wild card team or, well, the 2 teams that are kind of, one is just a game or 2 out right now. I love San Francisco's pitching depth, and I love the idea of them sort of catching everyone napping. But I'm telling you as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at the Milwaukee Brewers. And if they acquire a bat, just one more bat to give them that little bit of depth, to just give that. Now, it doesn't have to be a superstar. Just one other bat, with Kane gone, they've had this weird offense. If they could do what Atlanta did last year, and when they wound up piecemealing an outfield with Soler and Jock Peterson and Rosario, if they just go out and go supermarket sweep teams who have major league hitters that they're putting out on the market and throw a few of them into that lineup, the fact that they have a Burns, the fact that they have a Lauer, the fact that they have, Hader looked awful the other day, but they still have good bullpen depth even when Hader's wetting the bed. I just think if you catch a team like that in a short series, that's exactly the type of team that wins. The team that has no pressure on them, has pitching depth, and can hit just well enough in a short series against New York or Los Angeles that like they win, they split those first two games like, oh, what's going on here? They win one game at home, and then suddenly the Mets or the Dodgers are looking at our whole season's on the line here, and the Brewers like, hey, no one thought we were doing anything this year, so let's just go with it.
The Brewers.
They're my David pick.
They've been kind of like my dark horse pick, I feel like, the last couple of years in the playoffs, and they just kind of always leave me feeling a little cold. So I'm probably not going to ride with them once we get to the postseason, because on paper I do like the Brewers, but they just seem to always not do as good as I want them to do. And with Freddie Peralta still out, I think that rotation is going to need someone like him, because someone like Brandon Woodruff has also just not been as good this year as he normally is. So if they're going to go out there and look for a bat to maybe add to that lineup, just look no farther than the Arizona Diamondbacks, who might have two guys available for you if you're the Milwaukee Brewers, because looking at that outfield, you're getting no production from not a lot of production from the outfield. So you could go after David Peralta, a little freight train, a near 800 OPS, got double-digit home runs as well, great defense. Or you could go after a guy like Christian Walker, and maybe you put him at your DH spot with Rowdy Tellez and just have mashers in the middle of your lineup. Those are just a couple options for Brewers fans if they're interested in adding a bat to that lineup.
All right. Well, look at, I mean, just, there's always a team we're not, and a lot of times the team that winds up winning is a team like you saw the Nationals had always wet the bed in the playoffs, and then finally it all clicked together. The Braves had wet the bed in the playoffs the last bunch of years, and then it all clicked together for them as well. Maybe there's just a year where it's the year you're not expecting them to win that things click together, and that's the team that takes it. I don't know. Neither do you. But one thing I do know is we had a fun podcast going on here. Millard Thomas, where can people find you?
At Creator Thomas 24 for my personal account. Look up Locked On Diamondbacks to both Twitter and Instagram for the podcast handle. We're on all your podcasting platforms and on YouTube, Locked On Diamondbacks.
And you can find me at Sully Baseball on Twitter, Sully Baseball Podcast at Instagram, and the shows at Locked On MLB pods on both Instagram and Twitter. So much for the shorter show. But hey, we're having fun here. We're going to have a great week of podcasts. This has been the Locked On MLB, Locked On Diamondbacks crossover for the 18th day of July 2022. I'm your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Let's fist bump and call it a show.
Boo.